little baby. You look like a little piggy.
And where is my phone?
I don't know. You've got lessons to do soon.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Now you know what to do if you like what you see. Like and subscribe. There you go. So today I'm here with Ben. Now Ben isn't just an ordinary Ben. I've been in contact with Ben for quite a few months now, and it started off with Harvey. So we met through Harvey because it's so hard to find clothes to fit Harvey because of his weight. So hard to find clothes that are trendy. And I think I put a post out saying I'm trying to find clothes, or I think you approached me because he's got a company, Big For You Clothing. Now, it's so hard to find clothes that are trendy, like on high street and stuff, and what's comfy. And then you sent me a load of stuff, even pants. Like, I know people might think, oh, you can buy pants. You can't even buy pants even in a regular superstore, nothing. But there's a story behind Ben. Now, you wouldn't think it, but Ben also has autism. And that's where we that's the connection with Harvey, because the autism and then the size. And so explain in detail about how you got here to do your range, why it's called Up There, what life you've had where you understand the trolling. He's even done, which we'll talk about, these amazing t-shirts for Harley, trolling ones, hashtag Harvey's Law. They are brilliant, but they're good designs. You did it all yourself as well.
Did, yeah.
So tell us the story behind you.
Okay.
Look at me, behind you.
Well, I don't really know where to start, but we'll start with the beginning. Because I had autism, I got diagnosed with different conditions, ADHD and things like that. And
how old was you when that happened?
I think I was actually diagnosed when I was about 7.
Really?
Yeah. 7.
Like what symptoms? What did you do?
I was getting very obsessed, breakaging routines, people frustrated, nervous and overthinking things. The general traits of autism. And I think my mum admittedly really struggled because she hadn't had any experience with somebody with autism and found it difficult to communicate with me and didn't really understand why I was having these so-called autistic rages. And it was always perceived that I was a naughty young guy, but I wasn't. I was just misunderstood.
But autism is on a spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So then what happened then? So after 7?
After 7, we got to I was about 10 years old, and my mum had a bit of a nervous breakdown with it and couldn't cope with me. And then, she had a bit of a blowout, and they deemed it an unsafe household for me to be at. So it sort of went bad to worse, because from there, they then took me into a care home that wasn't.
Oh, did
designed.
you? How old was you then? You don't mind
No,
talking
not
about
at
all
all.
this, do
No,
you?
no,
Yeah.
no,
How old
absolutely.
was you?
I was 10 years old.
What, and they put you in a care home?
Yeah, they
but
did.
They had they said you had ADHD at this point.
They did, but they didn't put me in the specialist care home. They just put me in a transitional unit with all different people that had all different problems. And again, I wasn't given the due care that I should have had. And then they said I was violent, and they could, again, there was lack of understanding. So then they put me into an autistic school. This was about 6 months later. I think it would have been better if they'd worked with me to understand and trying to slowly get me out of these rages, and obsessions. Routine's a massive one. When my routine was disrupted, I really, really struggled, and nobody acknowledged this. So in the end, as a few years went on, they just kept restraining me, and the social services, they were never seen. It all seemed like a commercial game, to be honest.
I know how hard work it is, and a lot of people around me, even like Cole, he says, I don't know how you deal with it, and you've done it for so long on your own. It's like, we're all different, don't get me wrong, we're all different. No one is perfect. We all have different traits, and it's just knowing how to cope with it. Like with Harvey, you have to be patient. And the rages, his rages aren't rages. He will literally headbutt things, throw things. Now, if he didn't have these other disabilities, people would just say, oh, he's out of control. People have to understand that they'd probably come up with excuses why you was like it. Oh, because your mum went there now at 10, because you were naughty, you didn't listen.
Yep.
You're just an out of control, because they didn't want to rate and they didn't have time. And I know exactly where you come from, because I hear stories about this all the time. And when you had these rages, what did it feel like? So I always ask Harvey this, because he can't explain.
Sure.
And I just know that when he goes, and I know he's not out of his rage, I can tell by his eyes and his mannerisms that I'm like, no, he's not over it yet. Sit with him, because if I don't, he'll then just go for something to charge, to break it, or he has to get that rage out of him.
Yeah.
And he takes it out on things. So it's like, can you explain what it was like going through them rages?
Yeah, absolutely. Very much a blinkered vision, and I couldn't get myself out of this. So once I got obsessed with something and I got it in my head that was the way it was, I just couldn't rechannel my thoughts until I had completely lost everything, you know, basically smashed up everything around me, had a complete fit. Then, always felt better, and I could always move on from it. But in those extreme emotions, I just had to get right to the end before I could start to come round.
Exactly like what Harvey was like, but he can't explain that to me. And at the end, so I'm sorry mum, sorry. And I'm like, well, look what you've done, Harv. Sorry mum. But he can't explain the rage, why it happens, and he can't get out of it. You just have to let him go through it.
It was only up until a couple of years ago I was still like that. I was arrested. Well, if we just rewind a little bit, so from being sectioned, I fought against.
So when you say sectioned, you went in like a hospital section.
Yeah. So what happened was.
You don't mind talking about
no,
it, because I think
all.
it's really
no.
interesting. The only reason why I said, because you've got a success story behind it, all this, and I just think it's amazing that if people watch this and they might be going through bad times, whether it's autism or the way they've been brought up or anything.
It's about educating people.
Yeah, that you can have
success.
Yeah, it's just about understanding people, not judging people. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Absolutely. From there, they took me into an assessment unit within the hospital, and basically I had to get myself together and perform for, it was about between 4 and 6 weeks, and I had all sorts of medical practitioners on me.
That's still a long time, 4 to 6 weeks. Doesn't sound, but that's a long time every day to be somewhere, Yeah,
and even if I wanted to go out and have a fag or something like that,
you'd have someone with you.
Somebody with me, and if I went to move away, they'd come and the police would come
Sounds
and
like
take
the
me back
private,
in.
because I was in the private pin of the
I
year.
remember.
And you have different people in there who are sectioned or whatever for different reasons, and they would have to have a nurse everywhere with them. I didn't have to, but you're still secure. You can't just leave the building and that. So I know what it's like. They keep you contained. Some of them had cameras in their room, or they have suicide watch. And it's all different. So I suppose it's sort of similar to like where you was as well.
It's under the pretext of trying to do good and trying to get that individual back to a good state. So when I went through this, they then, at the end of the assessment, they said, no, we don't believe, we built up a report, and they said, we don't believe that I am eligible for being sectioned. And then from there, they took me back to the school, and what I did is I actually came up with a strategy where I was going to rebel against the system and say, no, I'm not staying in this system, I have a right to leave. And I started going to the gym in Colchester, Hercules gym, and we started to build up a network of people, and then local MPs that started to work with me to leave. And then a gentleman that owned a security company, he basically said, I'll rent you a flat, I can see you're a good guy, I can see the system's working against you, I'll rent you a flat. I was in a flat for about a year on my own in Colchester, and then...
See, there are kind people out there, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. There are.
Yeah.
And that's why you've always said I am a kind person, and that's why I'm kind, because people have been kind to me. What goes around comes around.
Definitely.
Then
you was arrested, you said?
Yeah.
Then you was arrested.
I've been arrested quite a few times.
And that must make you worse, because this is the thing with autism, you look normal.
Yeah.
But you inside it's different, and they probably don't understand. And the more they're restraining you, the more they're locking you in a room, it's making you more angry, more rebelling, and they just think, he's a nightmare, he's this. When they don't understand, autism does that. If you restrain or restrict, like, you can explode almost, and that's probably what they were seeing, because they didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
From then, what did you do then? So how did you come up? So this is your brand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up there. So how did you come up with the name Up there.
Up there. So the reason for up there was because when I was 17, I ended up finding a gap in the social care system. I ended up homeless. I was actually on the streets of Colchester, going to the food banks, Salvation Army, and people were, all my life, they've been fighting against me. You can't do this, you can't do that. Basically penalised and prevented from going forward, and this stigma about, you've got autism, you can't do that. And I thought, no, up there's, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's where I got the up there from. It can be interpreted the way you want it, but for me, it's up there to the naysayers.
I think it's amazing, and it's like so good. Like, it's not. I'm not being patronising, but you really have had a life in the way that no one believed in you. You've had your problems, and it's hard enough not having. For me, your parents around you. They're the ones who. It doesn't sound like you've had that secure.
Yeah.
So now, like I say, you've been you're so generous about Harvey, so amazing. Just never ask for nothing, never want anything. You're just generous, you're reliable, everything. So that's why I was interested. And then when you said you had autism, I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. Because then I was interested in your story, and now we know why the name Up There comes. So that's where we've come today, everyone. That we're here today to talk about Harvey, giving him a range, because with Harvey, he talks like how we talk. Oh, this is Princess.
Hi.
Hello, you okay?
Hello.
How we talk and how we all talk. He doesn't talk like that. It's Harvey's language, and he deserves, like everyone else in life, to have a chance.
Absolutely.
Just because of his disability, he deserves to have a chance. Because when I'm not here, thank God, he'll still be going. Do you know what I mean? And I want him to have a job. He's so good at illustrating, so good at music, that I want to do calendars and things like that of his illustrating, sell his art.
Yeah,
but with the clothes,
ambassador, can't he?
Yeah, he's an ambassador now for an autistic charity, actually, Anna Kennedy. Have you heard about?
Yeah.
And so I'd want him to have a clothing range out. One, because it would be for him.
Yep.
And that's why I've come to you. I want you and him to. It's nothing to do with me. Obviously, I'll be one behind it, promoting it with
Harvey's
him.
Law as well.
Yeah, and Harvey's Law. We'll come to that.
Stopping these trolls.
So I'd want you and Harvey to do something together, and that's long term for him, and he's got income himself.
Yeah.
And also with the trolling, you've had a lot of trolls as well. You get what it's like from your past. People judging you. Giving you shit, basically.
I think it's a blessing in disguise for Harvey not being able to understand these trolls.
Exactly.
But for you, it must absolutely destroy you.
I get it all the time. If people know you get prosecuted, it might slow it down. It probably won't stop.
Yeah, it's a bit like speeding, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the road, it prevents people.
Exactly. But these social media places, they should do more vetting in the way that if you want to get a mortgage or a car, they want to know your ins and outs.
Absolutely.
And if you don't pay it or anything, they know where you live.
Yeah.
It should be no different. It can't be that hard to set up a system. You have to put your email in and all of that anyway to set up on Instagram, this and that.
Maybe
they should have your address or ID.
Yeah.
And I think that would solve so much stuff, because so many people, when they're trolled, they just shut down their page and then start a new one up.
So I'm proud to be autistic. I don't think it should be anything that people should think of us as lower people or belittled for, anything like that. It's a thing that we should be proud of and help others.
If anything, you're probably more highly intelligent. Harvey's drawings are amazing. I bet you're more highly intelligent,
in some areas.
Yeah.
And like my business, my business has done great because I'm obsessed. I get obsessed with it.
No, but that's good.
Yes, I'm driving it into a positive, where before you used to get obsessed with probably the wrong thing and it would lead me into the wrong area.
But at least you're obsessed with the good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and that's why I'm proud to be autistic.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. And the good thing about it is you can look at your past and then be proud of where you've come now.
Yeah.
So talking of that, I think the trolling t-shirts, we should start with that of Harvey's Law, because it's so relevant at the moment. It's so happening, and the police things with Harvey is all happening. So I think we start off with that. We could do a big press call.
Absolutely.
You there as well with Harv. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
That'd be good. All right then. Well, guys, I hope you liked what you saw. I hope we educated you a bit and that you learned something. And this would be Harvey's first, now he's 18, legally, he can legally do contracts and all that. Obviously I'll have to look above it because you wouldn't understand. But this would be his first business venture with Ben. And it works because he's autistic and he'll understand Harvey. He could be a voice for Harvey, understand it. he's got a story behind him and how he's become successful. I just think they'll be a great team. The trolling, he understands it. So this is a good cause and it's all good.
All good.
All good. So if you like what you saw, what you do, Princess?
Like and subscribe.
Thank you.
Cheers.